Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to Wisdom Talks, where we speak to entrepreneurs who have done something different, who have been successful, and who are also helping a lot of customers around the world. And we've been doing this for 7 years. I've been interviewing a lot of entrepreneurs from different walks of life and created a lot of videos and shared them. And I keep doing this whenever I stumble upon someone who's like doing something different and can be an inspiration to everyone. I request them, can we have a short talk, probably about 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So my name is Thomas. I run a software company called Rejola IT Services Private Limited. We create IT solutions for organizations to grow and scale up. And this is going to be a 20-minute format. And I'd like to introduce the guest now. So we have Mr. John. Mr. John Abraham is uh, running two organizations currently, one in Hong Kong and one in India. It's called Stellasian. And through these organizations, he is helping companies to grow, to have information, to have innovation, helping them in their products and impacting the businesses across various regions. He has experience in leadership of product, marketing, design, and senior management positions at Verizon, a Fortune 20 US company that is number one in the US for telecom market. And his leadership has steered multiple businesses and programs and spearheaded seasonal GTM launches for products and services across various markets. One thing that caught my attention and the reason why I requested him to come to speak in this session is especially on the design thinking aspect, and he has got some accolades in that from prestigious institutions. So that's what caught my attention more than all the other aspects of his, because that's one area that I'm very curious about the thinking aspect and the design aspect. So thank you, Mr. John, for joining this. Thank you very much. Would you like to just say hi to everyone, and then I can ask you the first set of questions?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Thomas, for putting this together. In the start of my entrepreneurship journey, I'd always had a thought of something like this happening. It would be nice to have this connect with entrepreneurs and at least hear from them. So I didn't think I'll be on this side of the mic, so to speak, but it's great that you're doing it. So congratulations on this platform, and I think it's something that will impact hopefully many folks and also create more dialogue and help us all kind of align and give and take from one another on this journey. So thank you and kudos for this.
Thank you. You're welcome. And the first question I have for you is, what is your one top learning each from IIT Bombay and Wharton University?
Great. So Wharton was an executive program. IIT Bombay was a PG program. So very different focus areas as well as very different, um, I would say, contexts, but some semblances. So I will take it from IIT Bombay first. So my training was in design. A lot of great faculty there. I'm really privileged to have been tutor under their wisdom and their guidance. Um, I think the institution has a great legacy in design thinking and also looking at the impact of social innovation. I think one interesting bent that IIT Bombay has, um, success for the sake of success is very lowly regarded in the institution. So they look for a higher purpose. And what are you impacting other people and society at large with? That is often the conversation, the dialogue, and sometimes the more fiery debate that happens even between professors and students. So I think giving that impetus to grow in one's thought process, to realize one's own impact in society and the outcome of your work, not just accolading your work for the work's sake, but looking at the end game in terms of impact, how many lives are touched for the better, and so on. That is a great lesson from IIT Bombay. I think that always touched me deeper. And another nice thing there was our faculty, professors, and all their um, expertise always spoke from the heart more than just the mind. Of course, there was a lot of richness in thought process and all of that. But at the end of the day, you would get questions like, so what do you believe? They always dug deeper into who you are as a person and challenged one's own positions only to solidify them and to strengthen them. So I think that was a care for the person more than just the work. Those are things I really appreciated and learned much from. So maybe I'll skip on to Wharton now. So Wharton was right in the leadership journey that I had with Verizon, and it was a very interesting juncture because um, by the grace of God, I got a great bunch of people working with me, under me, and in my network of uh, different orgs that we were working in the midst of a lot of great people. Um, to name names would take all evening, and I have to give them all credit for expertise, strength, and also bring the best in their game from different aspects. For example, um, in my own teams, we had great designers, uh, people whose resumes I would envy. So they had great work, great strength, great skill, and I had the privilege of leading them. Also, in terms of the network of other leaders and teams that were aligned to our common purposes, goals, um, we had people from all kinds, from strategy to pricing to merchandising to the hardware specs and engineering folks, and so many great teams. So I would say I took more inspiration and motivation from all of them um, in terms of bringing the best. And what an experience! It was not something that um, you can approach in a very academic way. You would, if you did, it would surprise you because the challenges were very real world, although it was an institution that was giving the training, and this was specific to commercial marketing. And although, we were going through principles, tools, exercises, challenges, these real world sensibilities, both at a macro level of the human psyche and how people thought and how people perceived, whether it's your brand, your product, your value proposition, your pricing strategy, how things hit the individual as well as how the mass behaved. So, although it was not a psychology program, it made us think deeper and learn more about the human psyche behind market moves. So, for example, if you're going to capture, or if you're going for a capturing of 5% to 15% more market share, what does that mean in terms of how your brand is going to be perceived, how your product is going to be used or seen, and how you're going to impact the market? I would say there was also a very interesting angle there. Um, Something I did not expect, which was also looking at the impact we have on society. And maybe this is where the story kind of ties back to the way I have also been trained earlier in IIT Bombay, where um, you can be successful in positioning your business for growth. You can gain huge market presence and share and impact. But the question is also at what cost? So this is especially important to consider when you're in the category of the market when you're large, or in the category of the market when you have an opportunity for great impact. There was an ethical issue where you can actually disrupt the category so much where you shake off all the competition. And tomorrow, the market will be technologically starved, intellectually deficit, as well as will not give the best for customers. It will just not have that climate because it'll be monopolies who kind of milk the bread and butter out of each of their offerings, out of the consumers who don't have much choice. So those were very clearly pointed out as totally unacceptable ways to move the market. So that was very interesting coming from, I think, a school, um, and a panel of tutelage that trained the likes of people like, I think, Donald Trump, maybe his family also. Um, they very strongly believed that we should touch the market to improve it, not to harm it or disrupt the impact of what we do. So those were, I think, some key lessons for me.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much. It's definitely the people who teach us, they put a lasting impact on us. So thank you for sharing that. Um, my next set of question is on a person who we become. Okay. So I believe that our routines that we follow on a daily basis, it is what eventually builds us up. Like it says, that the books that we read and the people that we are, that is what influences who we are, and then we become who we are eventually. Um, what are the daily routines or rituals that you follow? Um, m- like things like, for example, sleeping habits, diet, silent time, or what are you reading? How do you read? And I know that you have not been in WhatsApp for a very long time. And then I think recently you've got onto WhatsApp, but you were not on WhatsApp, and that was a choice. That was a intentional decision that you had taken for a specific purpose. And I want you to speak on that. Okay, what are the routines, your rituals, and which is helping you to maintain your clear thinking and your designing and how to communicate and how to create products and all of that. So I would like you to talk on that.
Yeah, interesting zone of thought there. I'm just recollecting in my student days, I refused to have a phone. And even nowadays, I wish. But it was actually during my master's where we had a lot of projects with different groups and teams, where um, other guys were like, John, we can't find you. Where are you? We want to collaborate and work on these projects. And so they literally dragged me to the store to get a phone. So it was in a way forced upon me. This was still the, it's around 2005 or 6. That's when they forced me to get a cell phone. But um, there was actually a long time when I didn't have, especially when I worked in the telecom industry with Verizon, I actually did not have my own phone number or phone. So I was, wondering um, when I will get relieved of the incumbersome habits of attending to one's mobile phone. And for me, it makes me think of the freedom and the choices we make individually and as society. One of my old friends who lives and grew up in Lahore in Pakistan, he used to say his grandfather always had a telephone in his house, but was always unplugged, the old landline. And they used to ask him, You have a phone, why is it always unplugged? He used to say, When I want to call someone, I will plug it in. So I think we have the freedom to choose how we want to live. And the refusal to get on WhatsApp was to flee the the hustle bustle of all those messages flying, almost felt like you're in the middle of a battle. All for what? That was the question. So I still kind of shun all the rampant messaging, and but the fact is, I would like to keep my mind insulated from many things that don't have value, purpose, or you know a goal to it. But at the same time, in terms of daily habits and things that I constantly think and work on, um, my mom used to say something. She used to say, "Evil abounds when the good do nothing." It's
Hmm.
not because of evil that things are bad or just for evil's sake, but it's actually when the good do nothing, evil abounds. So I would challenge everyone listening to this. If you have something good you can do and you're able to do now, just do it right away. Don't procrastinate it. Don't think about it. Don't over plan it. It's best to just let the good happen right away. And I believe it's because good comes from God. We have in the Bible a passage where um, people say or call Jesus good master, and he questions them at the very thought of good. And he stops them and says, "Why do you call me good?" He questioned the perception of good itself. What does good mean? Good is something that is beyond us. It comes from God. That's because it is His nature. And now and then, by His grace, we have the opportunity to be vessels or channels of that goodness. So, for me, a daily habit is really to be a conduit to let that good happen. Whether it is in my interest or whether I have any, um, even some of that may not be of my interest. But if it is something that actually helps someone and I have the opportunity to do it, let that happen. So I think all of us have that opportunity in our life. So I would encourage, let the good happen out of your life. And that way, your life also becomes fulfilling and purposeful. Because ultimately, what we leave behind, that's what matters. We don't take away anything. So those are reminders, constant reminders for me. Even the brevity of life. We are not here forever. We are here literally on loan time.
Hmm.
And what is that time for? And let me fulfill its uh, uh, window in terms of what has to be done in that, whatever the purpose I'm called. And oftentimes it is very different from our own maybe aspirations and imaginations and things the world drives us into. Sometimes you need to be quiet, and I would also encourage that as a good habit to learn to sit back and look at things from a zoomed out perspective. And the quietness in the heart and the quietness in the mind is also an important space to have. Sometimes that gives the true picture of things. Sometimes that gives you a space to make maybe a better decision. So those
So
are, I think, daily.
how long do you have the silent time in a day? If you have to quantify it, is it like half an hour or is it like 4 hours?
Okay. I don't know if it's because um, I have been in the creative professions. I cannot put things too standard. But there are clear compulsions in every day. For example, um, every day since my childhood, I read the Bible, and the Bible is a source of light. I think it's the highest published, sold, bought, read book in the history of humanity. Only because it is the Word of God. It's the only literature that's called Word of God, as well as embodying human history. There is great wisdom, strength, counsel, and salvation for all there. So my time with God's word is very liberal. I take time in the morning. I take time whenever I need to, even in the middle of the day. I take time to remind myself. I take time even in the end of the day. But it's not a ritual. It is not. I wouldn't call it a great habit, but I would say it's just a mindset to lean more on God's counsel and His word, more than just the world or my own thoughts. I would say it's a choice. And the more you choose what is beyond earth, then the ultimate purpose of earth is to do heaven's will. I think that higher purpose and the higher calling inspires us, motivates us, empowers us to live more fulfilling lives. I would say it's a reminder and a choice that happens to find counsel, strength, and guidance through God's word. So yeah,
Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing. My next question is, your organization is helping companies with strategy. So my question is first simple question. What is strategy and why is strategic thinking important for entrepreneurs?
great question. I wished we had an hour or 3 hours for this,
We don't.
and a good crowd. I think we need more discourse on strategy, culturally, in our industry, in the current trend of knowledge work, transitioning into machine intelligence. There's huge need to look at things strategically. Okay, let's define strategy. Um, Anything that you can define in terms of work and task and something that is defined to be executed, defined already and very plainly described as a particular job, that has already at least been strategized, or there is no more strategy work to do there. Whenever you see a lack of definition of work, that means there is more strategic thought or decisioning needed. That's an easy way to understand either the presence of strategy or the lack of strategy. Where there's already work definition and you're just executing it, um, there is no strategy work there. So let me rewind to an idea that is at a more meta level than strategy that will give strategy its right place. Um, all work starts with a purpose and a vision. A purpose brings something to answer the why, um, into a fulfilling activity. A vision gives a particular far distance, and view into the future, um, and brings that distant reality into a frame for us. Um, you build a vision generally by telling a story. What if this happened? You can look at a vision being cast in the launch of the iPhone, the very first iPhone. What if Steve Jobs said, "What if we removed these buttons?" He showed a typical BlackBerry interface and said, "What if we removed the physical interface?" It was a vision of human um, user approach, particular interface paradigm for human interaction. He was setting a vision for people there. So, of course, the storyline in Apple goes much further. You need to look at the 80s for that. I don't think we have time for that. I will also look at a different product, for example, the automobile. So, Porsche, in their design philosophy, their vision was to not build cars for the sake of function
Mm.
or for the sake of performance or for the sake of fulfilling a particular task or a job. For them, cars were about building things that brought pleasure, that made people smile, and that gave people inspiration. And they are liken making cars to a conductor uh, bringing out the symphony from an orchestra, a poet using his ink and paper, the most mundane tools, and bringing out thought, pleasure, and delight for generations and maybe hundreds of years. A
Mm.
songwriter, in his lowest moment, being able to inspire a million people. Um, those are the moments they took as um, their paradigm for building cars. Let's build cars that do that. Now, that sets a vision. A vision alone is not enough. A vision gives you a story to buy into, way into the future. Um, how do you make that vision tangible? And that's what strategy is. Strategy says we will position ourselves this way. We will take these decisions. We will make these milestones to get to that distant vision. And strategy you can understand by how you play chess, how you direct the entire, and let's say, team of 11 in cricket in the
Mm.
most dire moment. The moment might be dire, but the captain will be solid as a rock and he'll take bold decisions. Now, that is not operational execution, that's actually strategic. So, strategy brings a position into play that dictates or speaks of a certain vision. And without vision, there is no strategy or meaningful strategy that can be formulated or built. Now, what follows strategy is you can frame it as stories for execution or the actual definition of work, and that'll be different for different sectors. I think that's beyond the scope of this conversation. But to think strategically is to say, I'm not interested in how things are going today, but I want to think about how things should be tomorrow and onwards into the future. And why should that change? And why should we see it differently, position ourselves differently, do things differently? That should be answered by the stories from your vision. So that's a simple way to think strategically. Step back, do not accept the BAU, the business as usual, the day to day. It's always been done this way answers. And say, why should we and how should we really for this particular vision? So those are questions that will get you into strategic thinking.
Amazing. Thank you. I mean, you've put it in as many simple words as possible, and so that anyone can understand and relate to it. Thank you very much. One
Thank
final
you.
question from me. Um, According to you, what are the top three books every entrepreneur must read other than
Mm.
Bible?
4-day work week.
Okay.
I was not an entrepreneur when I started this.
Mm.
4-day work week is really um, it's going to challenge your perception of time. It's not for everyone. If you like to be busy, do not read it. It will disappoint you.
Mm.
The whole idea is how to run a business just spending 4 hours a week. It's about how to live life. It's about a ruthless efficiency, ruthless prioritization. So I'm someone more from the prioritization side. I don't like busyness for busyness sake. I want only the lean effort on the right results. Yeah, 4-day work week. Um, the other thing is, um, this is a great book, totally not about entrepreneurship, but it actually touches the multicultural, multinational nature of our all our efforts across different sectors nowadays. Everything is impacted by so many things happening in so many countries and sectors. One AI model drops today, and 100 hardware companies are scrambling to make sense of it. And um, we live in a world that is constantly like um, the spider web that's jumping around while it's raining or insects are hitting the web. It's getting furiously interconnected and also interwoven, the impact and the stories. And in that kind of a world, how can you be creative and manage your affairs sensibly? Creative for an entrepreneur's sake is to be able to have a fresh mind and not to get dulled or overwhelmed by what's happening outside. So this book is actually from my, I think, high school or college days.
Mhm.
It's been one of my favorite books, way before anything to do with entrepreneurship. But it's a great book. I think even today it's very true. So creativity and perception in management. I think it's by Open University UK, the
Okay.
publisher. Great book, very rare book, hard to find.
Mhm.
I, in my student days, I'd borrowed it from my dad's officer's library, hadn't returned it for so long. I think my dad paid fines on it, which
Nice.
accumulated to more rates than the book itself. Then,
Wow.
much later, when I grew up and became more sensible, I bought my own copy. Um, so hard to get. So the third book, I owe you one more. I'm trying to understand where we can put the. Okay, let's go very popular mindset direction because people will enjoy this. It's also from my Wharton time. It's actually by one of my Wharton professors. He sent me a copy. Maybe a little pitch in for his work also. It'll help you understand why things go viral in today's world.
Mhm.
This book gets deep into the human psyche, and not everything is great there. The human psyche. We have a lot of sources of today's problems as well. But from a
Mhm.
pure market standpoint, you'll understand how the market thinks, reacts, gets excited about stuff. In fact, I have this book right here. It's called Contagious. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, yeah,
So this
definitely.
is
Yeah.
by one of my professors, Jonah Berger.
Oh, okay.
The book is
By the
called
way, I've
Contagious.
heard this book. I've heard it in the audio
Okay.
format, so it's from your
Oh,
professor.
great.
That's really nice. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he sent me this copy,
amazing.
and very happy to have. We literally had this all these concepts kind of in our coursework, so it was one of the modules, so it was fun. So Contagious, as a pop and relevant today to today's busy, who gets the first MVP to the viral stuff and makes the first unicorn, all that. It's all about that bubble, and you'll understand that bubble more from a more deeper psyche aspect. So those are
Amazing.
my three.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've run out of time. Mr. John, that was
Thank you.
really insightful and essential, especially what I really like to hear from people is their core being or behavior that has built them up and made them unique and stand out. Thank you very much for your time and looking forward to another topic sometime in the future. We'll have one more conversation. Thank you. Thank you very
Great.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy
Thank
this.
you.
All the
Thank
best.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.